Hello and welcome to Never Heard It, the show where I review classic albums that I never got around to listening to. But this week I brought along a friend. He is one half of the DJ duo, the Hellfish. Hopefully now that things are opening up again, you can catch him around Portland. But if you're not in the area, you can watch him on Twitch or Mixcloud. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome DJ Mr. Mom. What's up?
Yo, how's it going?
Good, good. So we're talking about Del the Funky Homosapiens' 1991 debut. I wish my brother George was here. And you went beyond what anyone else has done. I've never had anyone say that they were going to buy the vinyl without ever hearing, without ever hearing the album. So they just want to show. It's like you actually bought it, right?
Yeah, they had a reissue copy at Mississippi Records, very reasonably priced, as
Yeah.
always for Eric. So yeah, and it's been one that has been, I mean, it's been on my radar for a long
Uh,
time,
uh,
and it all kind of stems from an interaction I had with a good friend of mine. Kind of came up in a conversation,
mm.
and I felt, and she, yeah, I'll tell you the story if you're ready for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we were out at a bar in Woodlawn, and they have a drink on the menu called the Dabalina. And
Mm,
I was sitting around with family friends, and my wife is a doctor, and so this is the woman is a doctor, and her husband is basically a rocket scientist. These are two of the smartest people I know,
wow.
and we don't really hang out or socialize with doctors very much because usually they're pretty crusty and boring. But
Mm,
this couple is they're just really smart, really good people. So
mm.
anyway, she saw the cocktail on the menu called the Dabalina, and she looks at me and she says, "Mr. Dabalina, Mr. Bob Dabalina." I was
Mm.
like, I just the blank look that came back. She
So
was
you've
like,
never even heard the singles? Nothing from this album?
I hadn't heard. I legitimately could not remember ever hearing Mr. Dabalina. So she was like, "You don't know that reference," and I was like, "No, I don't know that at all." And she's like, "You don't know Dell?" And I was like, "I mean, I know Dell, but." So she, yeah, she definitely was like, "I thought you were a radio DJ. Like, I thought you knew your stuff." And it was, yeah,
uh,
it was a good moment to just remember that no matter how smart I think I am about music,
uh,
I can't cover it all for sure.
nice humbling moment.
Yeah, yeah. But also, it was nice to be checked by a middle-aged white lady. Because like there aren't too many of my friends that are super into hip hop, but the
uh,
ones that are know their shit and they don't
uh.
mind telling me what's up.
Yeah, I have to say, like, I've never listened to this album front to back. I know all the
Yeah,
singles from it.
yeah.
So this is an album that I've never heard either. I actually did a review on Never Heard It about the hieroglyphics 93 till infinity. I had never heard that either. So
Yeah, yeah.
I did a review, by myself about that one. And it's just when it comes to like West Coast hip hop, like generally I'm more into the gangster stuff. That's just how I grew up, I guess.
Yep.
I'm a more E40, Too Short type of guy when it comes to that. I didn't really
Yep.
listen to all the other stuff. So Adele, I've always respected him, but I never really dove into his discography. So this is my first time hearing this album, also. So
Oh, good to know. Yeah.
we're doing this together. We're in
Yeah.
this together.
Well, I definitely feel what you said about West Coast rap growing up.
Mm,
I also really like Diggable Planets, and my first real love was Sir Mix-a-Lot. So
mm,
I also had a lot of appreciation for kind of goofy,
yeah.
endearing hip hop in the way that Dell did it.
Well, if you like goofy, endearing hip hop, it seems like Dell would be Dell's the guy.
Yeah, no kidding.
So let's just talk about the album. So before you actually listen to the album, what did you think it would sound like?
Um, I mean, I gotta admit, it was mostly probably couched in the Deltron 3030 album, and that record is way more specifically structured and like sci-fi kind of oriented.
Mm,
So I knew it would be a little laid back, and again, I kind of thought kind of hippie side hip hop, but I didn't have too many other preconceived notions than that. I was actually pretty surprised by the production. It was a lot different, maybe than I had imagined.
hmm Yeah, it's cool. Like I knew that Ice Cube and Dell were cousins.
Right.
I've always known that, but I didn't know that they worked together so much, especially on this album. Because like
Yeah.
later in their careers, I don't think they worked together that much. But
Yeah.
on this album, like he's on pretty much every song, and he's gets writing credits on a bunch of stuff. He's producing stuff.
Right.
So I that I was surprised by that.
Yeah, I think I had known at some point in my life, I'm sure from just like a Rolling Stone review or something, that they were cousins. But I'd totally forgotten until I started looking at the credits. And like you said, I was just super surprised that it was a very tight. It was just Dell, Cube, and a production team of like 3 other producers, I think.
Yeah,
and they did everything.
Yeah,
And yeah, it was. I very much like you. I was surprised by the. It was a nice continuity of sound through the whole thing, and the samples were super well chosen. Sample wise, I wish it was something that I had come to a little sooner because El Muntz loves P-Funk. So a lot of Parliament, Funkadelic, kind of George Clinton references on this one. It was a lot funkier than I thought it would be. Which, I mean,
well, he's the Funky Homosapien.
Exactly. I shouldn't have surprised me. I don't know why it surprised me.
Dell wrote Gangsta's Fairy Tale on Ice Cube's record, and Ice Cube wrote Dr. Bombay.
Damn. This record came out like a week before Death Certificate, I think, is another thing I learned. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I had no idea they worked so close together. But for my expectations, I was expecting something a little goofier and sillier than what I actually got. I was expecting, like, Digital Underground Sex Packets came out about a year before this. I was expecting it to sound funky like that. Like the first song on this album, we'll get into the album in a second, but like the first song on this album, What Is the Booty? Like that's what I thought the rest of the album would sound like. That song is like straight P-Funk. Like that's
right.
And I was expecting the rest of it to sound like that. Well, let's talk about like specific songs. Like were there any songs that you felt were highlights?
Yeah, definitely Mr. Dabalina feels kind of sheepish.
So you heard Mr. Dabalina for the first time. Like this is blowing my mind. This is awesome.
At least the first time that I can recall, and I usually have a pretty good like musical memory that way. That's how my memory works best. Yeah, so I don't remember ever hearing the song before. Yeah.
Have you ever heard the original? Like the sample is the Monkees, a song called Zilch. Have you ever heard that?
No.
It sounds like they got super high and just started saying random things. And one of the random things that they said was Mr. Dabalina, Mr. Bob Dabalina. And like all 4 of them are saying just random quotes or whatever. Like it's very
snatched
weird.
that out of that. That's interesting.
It sounds like they just got like super baked and just made a song.
I think that was part of the Monkees method, right?
Yeah. So you should check that song out if you've never heard it. Okay, so yeah, it's called Zilch. Any other songs?
For Wacky World of Rapid Transit, definitely brought to mind a local man, an MC, Slick Devious, and his song Bus Max and Walkin'. So if I ever play that song out again, which I know I will, I'm definitely going to follow it because it's got sort of that everyman's experience of being on rapid transit. Pissing on Your Steps was funny and hilarious. Sunny Meadows had the sample from Hot Chocolate, and I like that one a lot. That was kind of more of a feel-good sunshine kind of song. Same Old Thing that had a Meters sample was great. Those are the ones that kind of stood out for me.
Pissing on Your Steps, like that song, I don't know if it's because of the name of the song, but like The Coup has a song called Piss on Your Grave. While I was listening to this, maybe it's just because they come from the same area and they both like really love P-Funk. It just reminded me of Boots Riley, even though they rap about completely different things. His flow, his voice, the type of samples he decided to rap over, it reminded me a lot of Boots Riley.
Yeah, I think that's a great, I hadn't made that connection, but I think that's a really great comparison.
Yeah, and like I said, it may just be because they both have a song about pissing on things.
Yes.
That might be it.
That's all it takes sometimes.
On that song, he's dissing all the dancing rappers, but he also disses De La Soul on that song, which is weird.
Yeah.
Which is like, I wouldn't put them in that category of like MC Hammer or Vanilla Ice or anything. That seemed weird. And overall, on this entire album, like I kind of forgot how judgmental early 90s rappers were. Just anything that didn't fit into a box, they were just like, no, you can't do that. There's so much of that on a lot of early 90s albums, and this one has a lot of that.
Right, for sure. I was a little surprised by some of the meanness and negativity, and I mean, it's not that I necessarily expected like this whole super positive experience.
Mm-hmm.
I expected him to be an artist and talk about his experience and stuff, but some of it is just kind of nasty and
Yeah.
mean. Yeah,
My favorite types of songs were the ones where he's not dissing anybody. He's just rapping.
yeah,
And that song is one of those songs where he's just rapping. Also, a 1-2 a 1-2. I really like that song. That song. It's just there's not a lot of negativity. He's
right.
just rapping over a dope beat, which
Yeah,
and he a lot of these songs he sounded like Ice Cube, I think, because Ice Cube wrote some of the lyrics, but his flow sounded like that Ice Cube. But like on those other songs, like on a 1-2 or 1-2, I don't think he sounds like Ice Cube. I think he sounds like himself, and
yeah,
those are my favorite songs.
yeah, yeah. Did you like other records or music of his?
Other than Deltron 3030, I've heard that, and I'll be honest, I've probably listened to it maybe twice. I know maybe I need to dive into it again. It definitely feels like something I should dive into again, but I don't know,
I'm,
that stuff just didn't hit me.
that's fair. Yeah, yeah. It was funny because that definitely, like, when we were doing college radio is when the record came out, and our group of friends really really liked it a lot. And maybe it was just because it was kind of riding the Radiohead, OK Computer, anti-technology, sort of sci-fi future wave.
Yeah.
But then the Gorillaz stuff came out right after that, and
Yeah.
I think maybe it was in part that I just sort of lost interest in Dell as an artist
Mm-hmm.
because the Gorillaz stuff was so poppy, which is a really dumb reason to
Yeah.
stop paying attention. The first Dell song I ever heard, though, I definitely remember was from the Judgment Night soundtrack. He did a song with Dinosaur Jr., and
Okay.
it was one of those rock rap hybrid.
That soundtrack, people bring that soundtrack up a lot. I've never heard that soundtrack. But like it's one of the first soundtracks that had like first albums at all that had like rock and rap, coming together. And I don't know, like part of that makes me not want to listen to it.
Exactly.
But,
Yeah, that's fair.
but I don't know, people bring it up a lot and people say that, there are definitely songs on there that are dope. But yeah, I probably need to listen to that soundtrack. On the intros, What is a Booty? Do you know if that was George Clinton or not?
I think it was a sound alike. I did some.
think,
I read up a little bit on what I could of the album. There's not very many like reviews or much on it online, but one of the things I read said it was basically just a sound alike or a clone. Yeah.
yeah.
But they were.
Whoever it was did a great job. I could tell like it wasn't. It sounded a little off. I was like, I don't think that's him. But like whoever it is, that's like 90%. That's a very good George Clinton. So we kind of touched on this earlier, but was there anything on this album that you didn't like?
Yeah, I think just the negativity in general. Dark skinned girls, sort of the colorism in that song.
Yeah, that song is unfortunate.
Yeah, but
it definitely sounds like Ice Cube had that. That sounds like an Ice Cube idea just to court controversy. It sounds like he did that on a lot of his records. He just wanted to make a song, especially typically when he's talking about women, he just makes a song that's really mean just to get a reaction. Not necessarily that he feels that way. It's just like that sounds like an Ice Cube idea. Migos just put out a song called Avalanche where Quavo is talking about women with fake asses. And he says, like, you can enhance, it's yours. Do what you want. In the 90s, we were making fun of women for wearing fake eyelashes or, wearing makeup or whatever. Like, there's plenty of songs, even on this album, where he's, making fun of women for, having contact lenses or whatever. He was 18 when he put this album out. And it sounds like an 18-year-old. A lot of it does. So do you understand why this album is considered... Well, first of all, do you consider this album a classic?
I think I would have to sit with it a little bit longer for it to be a personal sort of classic. Mm-hmm. But I definitely understand why it has been canonized and why folks look to it so much. Again, it just reminded me of like the like Diggable Planets or other artists that I feel like opened almost like kind of a whole new lane. That I mean, I really think that Dell was pretty influential to a bunch of MCs in the late '90s, early 2000s, and just the hieroglyphics crew in general.
I think this is an album that people should listen to. I'm glad I listened to it. When I hear this, I hear like some Brand Nubian. I hear Ed O.G. and the Bulldogs. I even hear Tribe Called Quest. And the people that he dissed, De La Soul. I even kind of hear that. So,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, he didn't reinvent the wheel with this album. I guess that's what I'm saying. Is there anything that you want to promote? Anything you want to talk to the people about?
Portland hip hop is the best music in the world right now, and you should go to Bandcamp and buy all of it.
All right. I do not disagree. So have you heard I Wish My Brother George Was Here? Are you still bumping it to this day? We're going to keep talking about albums until we run out. Until then, we are two guys on the internet that don't know everything. Peace.
Later.